Hello, everybody. My name is Ujjwal, and I'm here with my friend Jamie to start another amazing zero-hour conversation. Today, we'll be talking about our friendships, our principles, or the lack thereof, and we'll also talk about our love towards different culture.
It's going to be a bit on the spot. You know, it's not like we're following what's this culture like, what's this event like. We're having a bit of an open dialogue today, basically.
Yep.
And
we're going to talk more about ourselves today.
Really. Yeah.
All right. So to start the conversation, we're going to talk about our friendship, how we became friends and all that. So, Jamie, how did we become friends?
Well. So, we met maybe 2 years ago at something called Agora, which was made by our lovely friend, Alexandros, born and raised in Samos in Greece. He's a wizard. He knows so much about Greek history, and he just wanted to make a philosophy society, basically.
Yeah.
And myself, at the time, I was joining as many societies as possible, and one of them was philosophy. And as much as I enjoyed speaking to other students from like London or from Essex or from Birmingham, this individual I found very interesting because he didn't come from such places. He came from a very, very far place, all the way from Nepal.
Yeah.
And I, at the time, was working at a hotel, and they have many lovely Nepalese people there. They act like such a community, and very great people. You can trust them, definitely. And I thought, this is one of those people that you can definitely trust. And not only that, but he's got something very interesting to share with the world. And and
thank you for saying that.
You've probably learned he's got very unique perspective, and I think it was just a mutual respect at first, instantly.
Thank you.
I can trust this guy.
Thank you. Well, basically, Alexandros was the only person who came to our classroom saying, "Oh, there are societies at the universities and you can join," and he said philosophy, and I was like, I've always been trying to look for philosophers that are very recent and that I can learn a lot from them, because I don't want to lie and say, I like reading books. I don't like reading books. I would rather watch a video of Slavoj Žižek or Bertrand Russell or Albert Camus and learn from that video and the way they speak, rather than read a book where they have written stories. Yeah. And I like the personal account of things. I learn more from that. Yeah. And I thought the society is going to be something like that. And when Alexandros said he was from Greece, I was like, this guy is a philosopher. And he is a philosopher. Alexandros is a philosopher. Yeah. And so I went, that's how I went into the society. I go there. Everyone is unrelatable. I can't relate with anyone. They all had this kind of hierarchy in the society, which was not made by Alexandros, because Alexandros always said, it doesn't matter who is the president of the society, who is the vice chair, and all that. We all are equal. But there was this kind of group in there, which was I think
it's somewhat childish.
It was difficult to put your point across in there, because coming from a cybersecurity course, which is completely different from what all of their course was, it was a bit weird. But then I met you. I think it was on the second time I went there, I met you. And we started talking about different things, and we had it was not we had so many things in common that we became really good friends. It was the dialogue that we had with each other, which was really, really interesting. And I like having dialogue with people. Yeah. And you were very relatable. You didn't look at me with eyes that, okay, oh, I'm surprised this guy knows this, or oh, I'm surprised this guy doesn't know this. You looked at me with this perception that, he's just a normal dude. He's just another guy, from which happens to be from another country.
Exactly. Yeah.
And we said about our love for different cultures, especially Japan and all that. And then we became friends. And at the time, I was like, we got to start something. And I was like, if I ever start a podcast, this would be the guy that I would call.
And when he invited me to do so, I thought, it's a good time, good opportunity. And I don't think anyone better to choose, really, because we have great conversations.
Off his screen, we do. On his screen as well, hopefully. So that's how we became friends. And my first impression was... I did not know how much I could relate with you at the time, because we hadn't talked a lot about each other. But I definitely knew that no matter what, you will not look at me with this different kind of idea that you already have in your head about Nepalese people or the people from another country. I'm not saying like the racist kind of thing or something like that. It's not that. What I'm saying is like when you have people from another country, you expect them to have this completely different experience. Like everyone would ask me when I say I'm from Nepal, oh, have you seen Mount Everest? It's like, it's freaking miles away from where I was born. Or
Have you?
I mean, I have seen it from aeroplane, but I haven't seen it from land.
Okay.
I've been to nearby places from where I could see, but because of the cloud and all that, I couldn't see it. It was unlucky of me.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what all people always ask. And in one of the podcasts, Francis Ngannou, the UFC fighter, apparently he gets asked like, oh, have you seen lions and have you been chased by lions all the time? Just because he's from Africa. And he was saying, oh, do they think I live in Jew or something? So it's like, people think this Mount Everest is like this big mountain in the middle of the country which can be seen from everywhere.
Right.
That's not truth.
I just wanted to add, I'll tell you what I noticed at this society is there was a lot of young people who were considered quite liberal, progressive, and they were trying to superimpose these moral stances on Ujjwal. And when Ujjwal was talking, I thought, this is a humble guy, comes from a close community, maybe some of his views are traditional, but their attitude was total indifference to this like community aspect, this maybe a little bit more traditional, and they were just very hostile to it. And I thought, how are you going to convince someone that you've got a great idea if you're going to act like nothing that comes from them is a good idea?
Yeah.
Like, I just thought it was really stupid in a sense. And then I thought, I'm going to take Ujjwal's corner because they're just saying it to get like this, to feel like they're right.
Yeah, I think they kind of got. I'm not going to say intimidated or something like that, but similar to that because I did not have any filter on me at the time, and even now I don't have. I get told a lot of times that I don't have any filter on me, but at that time when they were saying, okay, this is like right, this is wrong, and I'm like, you can't be correct. You don't know. We never know. We never know what's the right thing to do. We do the thing that looks right to us now, but when we go into the future, we'll look back to it and we'll say, oh, that was, how did we even, how did we even made those decisions and all that? So that was my kind of idea, and I like kind of playing like devil's advocate as well. So I was trying to give them argument from the other side and saying, like when someone said, oh, I don't believe in God, I would say the argument from, okay, this is the reason why God exists or something like that. And I think they got intimidated by it or something. But it was really nice to have someone that kind of like listens and kind of understands and also gives his opinion. Even it doesn't necessarily have to be an agreeable opinion, but there was one in there, and that was what I liked. Yeah. So it was really good that we became friends and we started this podcast now. Yeah.
Well,
so that's how our friendship started.
Our conversations were fun, and we thought this is so useful. Maybe it'd be useful to other people, so we'll share it as well.
Yeah, and I also say this. We also share this kind of idea about our future and our career, that we want to do things so that later on, when we are in our future, we won't be regretting about anything.
Right.
So like. I know, like this podcast might never get big. I mean, I kind of like there is 99.9% percentage of chance that this is not going to work out, and we might spend like hours and hours, like videotaping, editing, trying to come up with ideas and having conversation beforehand and afterhand. So we might be spending a lot of times, and we will be doing that for a while, for a considerable amount of time, as long as we can. But there might come a time when we won't be able to do this, and we might not. At the time, we might not have achieved anything. But at least one thing that we share and we talk about with each other is like, at least when I'm 40 or 50-year-old, I'll look back and I said, I tried, man.
We tried. Also, we're gaining skills, new perspectives, and this is something that you could like keep as a record, I suppose.
Yeah.
Like we'll look back on ourselves in like 50 years' time. Be like, wow, that was us,
Like we might say how naive we were. We might say what kind of beliefs. Like, we might say, oh, I used to believe on that thing.
Yeah. I used to look like that.
Yeah. That's another thing. It's like, I went from clean shaven to now this mustache and this thing, and I might have like full grown beard, and it will give me opportunity to look at all of the pictures and say, oh, that was nice. That was not nice. Oh, I might look at that.
Hopefully we're not bold. Like, yeah. Or bald. I think you pronounce it bald.
Well, in my family, I don't have a good track record of people having hair after they're like 27-year-old. So I have like 4 more years with this. Like in a bird's nest.
We will see.
Yeah. So now we're friends, yeah? What do you think of friendships? Like the relationship that friends have. Do you think this is at the same level as the siblings, like your brothers and sisters? or is it something that is it like the other part of you where you can be open about certain things but not about other things?
Well, for me personally, I think we've talked about this before, but people in Britain and in England, they keep most people a bit of a distance, really, except your family. And I think to your family, you're allowed to be like a bit rude and upfront. But everybody else, you're not allowed to be rude and upfront to. But you can, but people will see you as an asshole, basically. I'll tell you what, my friend Joe actually said this to me. He said it's mutual respect. He's like, every friendship you have in your adult life is mutualism. So it works in a symbiotic way. So you get something, I get something. You know, there's no like, I have to look down on you. Even if they're teaching you something, there's no like, I have to look down on you feeling that comes across, basically.
Well, where I come from, it's like kind of the opposite of your initial. The first part of what you think about friendship is like you can be rude with your family, but not with your not with the friends. But where I come from, it's like you can say the most horrible thing that you can to a friend, but not to a family.
Really?
Yeah. So it's like if I have a friend and I want to like basically like not it doesn't only start with swearing and doesn't end with like like making like a funny joke about their appearance or something. It's more than that. It's like, okay, you can say, oh, your girlfriend is this, your girlfriend is that, like this, all those kind of things that you can think of. You can say that with friends and they will not take it like personally as well. So that is how it works. And the other thing is like the friendship is more of like a brotherhood. It also depends. Some of the people are also like, here it's like mutual respect, that I get certain things from you and you get certain things from me, so that's why we're in this friendship. But that is kind of rare, because what is expected when you're friends is like they accept you as you come and you accept them as they come. So no compromises are made. So you are the most yourself that you can be with a friend. And it's like a brotherhood. It's like if you want to go to their house, you don't ask them, you just say, oh, I'm here, can you open the gate?
Right.
And when they want to come to your house, it works with our relatives as well. So when relatives wants to come to your house from another city, they might not even call you, they might just call you when they're there and we are here. So I think it comes from that kind of attitude. But also there is this kind of sense that, we are friends, we're like brothers, we do things together. And people even plan going to other countries together. Like if they want to go and study in Australia or America, they would do it together. Like me and Vicky, we did it together.
Wow. Yeah.
So later on, we're like, Vicky's, I'll go there. So that's how I ended up here. So it works in that way. Yeah. Okay. Now, so friends are nice. We all are nice, and we think this will last forever. Like friendships will last forever. We will last forever. What do you think about that? Do you think all friendships last forever? If
I knew you were going to ask me this question, I would have done like research and reading about what is friendship. Because right now in my mind it's blank. Like I don't even know if I could define what friendship is. I can say what a friend is. Yeah. How would I call a friend? The thing is, me personally, I don't really. In a weird way, I see everyone as a friend until they prove to me that they're not a friend.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I try to treat everyone with the same sort of respect and dignity and interest. And then someone will come along and they won't do that for me. And I'll just think, you're not a friend. Maybe that's a bit pessimistic, but that's how I sort of function.
So is it like first impression is the last impression with you? Is it like if they are really good with the first impression, then they immediately become your friend? And
I think it's just like... just see how the dynamic works, because then again, not every person is supposed to be friends with other people. There's like natural imbalances. Like you see political leaders have debates, and like you can tell they're going to disagree even before they speak to each other because they're just so they have such a different worldview, and you can predict that's going to clash basically. So part of friendship is that you don't clash, I think, but maybe you also challenge each other in like a fair way.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. It's like friends are the kind of people who will lift you up when you're down and who will show you where you belong when you're really high. So, they're good at bringing you down. Yes, they're. I wanted
grab
to,
your leg back. And there you go.
I wanted to say that, but not in negative way. It's not necessarily that they're jealous of you and they're trying to bring you down, but they will show you the reality of the things. Yeah. It's like if you.
Oh, sorry, I just want to say, in a way, they sort of know you better than you know yourself.
Kind of, yes, because like we say all these things without even thinking about it, but our friends out there listening to those things that we say, and our kind of, and when we're with our friends, we are really candid, and when you're candid, you say what you kind of believe, deeply believe in, and when that comes out, they will be like, yeah, this is the kind of person you are. And that's why, like, when friends see, like, some of our friends who will see us doing podcasts, they want to be like, oh, you do that? It's like
But I'll tell you what, it's a beautiful thing, because if you look at, like, I'm going to bring it back to history because I studied history. I love history. If you look at people like Joseph Stalin or even Xi Jinping, the current president, they're not going to have many people who are close to them, and the people who are close to them constantly change. So they don't get that, like, bringing you down thing.
Yeah.
So I think as long as you've got people doing that who are friends, maybe you argue sometimes, I think you're doing something right, because the alternative is that people sort of look at you from a distance and go, what the F is wrong with that guy? You know? Like, they're not going to tell you.
Yeah.
Like, for example, if you walked around the street and you'd pooed your pants, no one's going to tell you pooed your pants, because no one wants to talk to the guy that's pooed his pants. Maybe that's a bad example, but I hope people get what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I mean, friends, the real friends, the good friends, they show you the reality of things. Yeah, and that's why it's
bring
really
you back to reality. That's what I'd say.
Not let you live in your dreams, and that's why it's really, really important to have friends, and really important to have the friends that are like that. It's like your friends doesn't have to be someone who is in higher position than you, like more successful, more rich, because people say that it's like, if you want to be more rich, make more rich friends. If you want to, like, be successful, make more successful friends. That might work, but it works in a way that is transactional. Like, you are friends with them because you're gonna get something from them.
Don't compromise yourself. I would say, don't do that.
You're not friends with them like wholeheartedly. Friendship is something that comes from your heart. It doesn't come from your brain. It's like another. It's like a brotherhood, which you said different rooms, you have different life, you have completely different world behind you, but but you are also with them. You're like friends with them. You're together and all that, and you do things together. So that is why it is important. So that's why it's important for people to have friends that really, really understand them. And if it might not happen in your first meeting with them, it might not happen in your second meeting with them, but it will eventually happen. And
I feel like people struggle to make friends, especially in the last 10 years, especially since COVID. Like at universities, also in like other communities. People struggle to make friends because they don't see each other.
Like we always say, don't judge a book by its cover. We kind of live by that statement, but we do the complete opposite of it every single time.
Contradiction.
Yes. Like we human beings, we have this biological tendency to judge things, because back in the days, when a stranger came to your house or something, you never knew if they were going to kill you or not. So you would have to judge them by looking at them, like how they look, what weapons they're carrying and all that. So I think that there is a remnant of that within us still now. And we kind of judge people basically based on, like what they are expecting from us and what we expect from them as well. So I might see a new person come to the university, and they might be like completely different built and different looking and everything, and I might be expecting, they want to be friends with people who are kind of like them, and I might not belong to that group. And if they're from different country, then we might not get along because we have different political opinions and all that. But that's not true. If you go and talk with them, everyone will want someone who will talk with them and listen to them, because these days it's so rare that someone comes and talks with you. It's so rare that someone comes to you and asks you any question. It's really rare. So when that happens, it's like this really nice feeling, and you say, okay, we want to be friends.
Especially old people, I found. Like when I was at uni, sometimes I'll just read a book in the park, and old people just start talking to me, and I thought it's such a wonderful experience, because nobody else in society is doing that, but they are. I thought, wow, that's good.
I think they miss their friends too. And they see their friends in you.
They realise it doesn't matter. You know? Whereas I think everyone younger is all superficial. So they're thinking, I can't speak to that person, it's embarrassing. They're different from me. But actually, some of the best friendships are people that are completely different, I think. Yeah.
Because it's like, then you get to learn the different perspective in life, and like things, the bullshit that you believe in, and the best thing that you believe in as well. Like, that your friends bring it together, like we said earlier. So let's take this podcast to the further topics. We're going to talk about death. Do you want to talk about how often you think of death?
The old dying thing. Well, it's funny because I think maybe from a cultural standpoint, in this culture, people don't take it too seriously because we like to joke a lot. So we'll say, we would be reading a history book and go, they suddenly died, And it's just like something sort of funny but not too serious. But then we do care about it, So culturally, it's not a big deal. I know most cultures make it I think they give it more recognition. So
like in our culture, we mourn for 13 days after the date has been dead. So do you think that is a good idea?
And in Japan, they do memorials, basically. So one on the anniversary of that.
Okay. Yeah, we do that as well.
Whereas in the UK, we don't do anniversaries of deaths. We just do the funeral, and then that's it. So in a way, we're kind of disconnected from that, and I think it's why people maybe make bad choices.
Okay.
Because they're not like connected to the whole consequence. I don't know.
I mean, we always go to the bed expecting we'll wake up next day, but one of those days we'll not wake up the other day. And we can't. That's why, like, when we leave things, like really, really important things that we want to do for next day. Let's say you want to talk with that person that you really, really like or really, really love, and you postpone it for next day because, I'll do next day. Today I'm not comfortable. Today, like, this is not working, that is not working. I'm not in my right mind space. Which does help, because when taking decisions, you need to take your time and then think about it. But when it's really, really important, just as important as saying, I love you to your mum and hugging, like giving a hug to your mum and all that. When you postpone that, and imagine you don't wake up the next day, and like, it could have been different. Just that idea, like, just that moment that you said could have been different.
This has reminded me. I don't remember who said it. But it was. I'm going to lose it now. I forgot what I was going to say.
Yeah, that's all right. We can go to another topic. That is very deep and all that. So we're talking about values and personal philosophy. Who is God?
Who is he? He lives next door to me.
Do you go and worship him every day?
I don't believe in a God, but I'm not an atheist. I'm not going to join your club, atheists. All right? I don't care.
Yeah,
what
we
you
are
think.
alone.
I'm not one of those Richard Dawkins type people.
Mm.
I'm not a fan of him. And if I'm being quite frank, I'm not a fan of how Stephen Fry addresses religion. I think he's too dismissive of beliefs, and he's too much focused on your your prefrontal cortex, your ability to handle logic and information. He's focused on that aspect of your psychology, and I don't think it has much use. Like, you're not going to learn, of course Noah survived with just 2 people, and of course they had 2 giraffes, and of course they had 2 elephants.
Yeah. 2 mosquitoes as
You know,
well.
that might not be true, but that doesn't mean the story's false, if you know what I mean. It doesn't mean there's no truth to it.
Okay.
There's going to be a truth to it.
Yeah, it's because we don't have evidence of it existed or not, that we can't concretely say if it was true or false.
Yeah. But what I'm talking about is a different kind of truth.
Okay.
And this is actually what Jordan Peterson talks about.
Yeah.
He says that there's 2 kinds of truths, and that's sort of where Richard Dawkins and himself collide. So there's true as in what's considered Newtonian truth.
Okay.
So that's like truth in numbers and science. And then there's truth in the Darwinian sense, which is, I believe the metaphor he used was as true as an arrow flies.
Okay.
So it's true as it flies, meaning it's kind of more ambiguous, basically.
It looks true. Like I think it comes from the experiences that you have had. It's like, those kind of truths. He might be
morals,
trying to say
I think, would be the better word. So there's morals to the Bible.
Yeah.
That's what I believe. So I think in this country we shouldn't become a Christian country, but I don't think we should chuck out the morals with the stories. And I think that's increasingly happening, which is odd because we've kept other traditions like the king, but we haven't had like an absolute monarchy in 800 years.
Yeah.
So why have we kept the king for so long if they're not functional, but we're going to chuck out Christianity so quickly?
Yeah.
You know, when I was at school, we would learn hymns, and we would have a priest come in every week. And my brothers, who are only 10 years younger, have never had that. And that's shocking, because this has been part of this country for over 1,000 years. You know, so it's going to come back. Yeah. I don't know how it's going to come back.
Well,
and
I mean,
I'm a bit worried about the volatile nature, especially when Christianity is confronted with other religions.
Yes. Yeah. I think whenever you have like those bad apples in every religion, and the government tries to substitute that, and the way they try to substitute that is like take the religion completely out of the like institutions that it is in. So yeah, religion should be out of the politics and all those things. I don't agree with religion and politics working in hand. I don't agree with that. I don't believe in that as well. I don't believe it works. It doesn't work. We have had countless examples of it, and it doesn't work.
The politicians have a personal religion.
Yeah, so their personal religion, their personal belief must be different than the belief. They cannot try to impose those kind of beliefs in the masses, because they are not responsible for one person. They are responsible for hundreds of thousands, or sometimes even millions of people. And millions of people will not agree with your philosophy. Millions of people will not agree with your religion. Millions of people will not agree with your belief, and they will have different beliefs. So God is, for me, religion is different than God, because religion is created by humans, and God, we don't know if it is created by humans or not. We don't know the truth of its existence. But religion, we can trace back to the history and find its origin. Like, this is where it came from.
Yeah.
And we can even find the account of people who actually wrote the things in the religion as well. So morals...
sorry.
No, what I was trying to say is, like, morals can exist without religion, but when you have religion, it gives you direct kind of like set of instructions that have been tried and tested, and you can say, okay, this is how we can
But I also wanted to say that I think religion's an act of faith, and I think you can't really have an act of faith in, like, the alternative. So the alternative to a religion would be like a science, you could say, or like a personal philosophy.
Yeah.
But then, like, where does that faith go to? Is it the law? Is it your national identity? Like, where is that faith travelling? Is it your family? Like,
do you have to have faith, though?
I think you have to have faith.
Well, I believe in hope, but I'm not really sure about faith. I'm not literate enough to make concrete decision on if people should have faith or not, because for some people having faith is like the choice between ending their life and not ending their life. And for other people, having a faith is the difference between their life being like the best version of them, the people that they can be, or being like being absorbed in this institution where they have to follow the set of instructions given by someone, and you only eat the food that you're allowed to eat, you only dress the way you're allowed to dress, you only have the haircut that you're allowed to have, and all those kind of things. You're not being yourself, you're being someone that is designed by someone else. So you're being a person who was designed by someone else. So that's the different, that's like, where the faith takes you. So there are like both extremes, and none of us likes extremes. We don't like the extremes of anything. Like, too much of sugar is bitter. We don't like that. But what we want is the middle ground, and in the middle ground, it's so hard to come to like one middle ground when there are so many different religions, and they kind of believe in same thing, like love your neighbor, love the other person, they don't lie, don't cheat, don't rob. Like, they all say the same thing, similar thing, even same thing in many instances, but they are not similar in the way the approaches are done. Like, they are not similar to draw a line what is lie and what is truth. It's like, do you lie to save a life, or do you tell the truth? And like, because you need to be truth all the time, but can you lie to save a life, or is it a sin if you lie to even for saving a life? True. So those kind of those kind of things.
I have a question for you. Do you think that religion can bend the laws of physics, as in a man can walk on water?
No.
Okay, but if you didn't see it happen, how can you prove it didn't happen?
Well, I mean, I can try it and it doesn't happen.
Yeah, but how do you know it didn't happen?
Well, I tried. I did it myself and it didn't happen. So when I went to walk on the swimming pool, I fell down and I got wet.
But this is what I'm saying. It's not just faith. It's also a belief. So they don't know that he walked on water, but they believe he walked on water. It's all based on the things that was written by people, is what I'm saying. When I say religion is created by people, I mean it is created by people. It was not God who came saying, okay, I'm the Messiah for Christians, and I'm the leader for Christians, and this religion will be called Christians. It came after that. Jesus might have existed. The knowledge from Jesus might have been passed down, and they might have been written down by people, but we have molded it in such a way that it's no longer the real truth that it was. Like, everyone claims their version is the right one. But how can we trust their version is the right one? But then how can we trust the scientist's version? I'm playing devil's advocate a bit here, but it's like
you can prove it.
There's a belief system in the laws of physics, so you're not going to believe this table can float because you've never experienced that table floating. But if you did one day, what do you do about that?
Well, if I put, if the table is made of a magnet, and if I put a big magnet up there, if it floats in the air, then I will believe the.
But what I'm saying is that you are
floats.
putting your faith in the scientific method. That's what I'm saying.
Well, okay. So if we discredit the whole scientific method of testing something, then you will have to discredit your method of believing on something as well, because you can't prove that
I'm just
either.
saying you don't know everything just because you believe in the scientific method.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying believing in science is the ultimate truth. I'm not saying that science is the answer for religion or something. I think science and religion are completely different things. I don't think they should be comparable. They are comparable. Science is based on empirical evidence. Religion is based on belief, and belief doesn't need empirical evidence. Mm-hmm. You don't need to have a faith. Like in science, you don't have faith in people who are creating the science. You have faith in the theories. Like when they say Earth is not flat, and you can observe yourself, the Earth is not flat. Yeah. You believe on it. Mm. So the belief on it, the belief aspect of it comes after it has already been done.
What's funny?
But on religion, you need to believe on a religion in order to understand the truth.
What's funny though is that some of the best scientists in history have been religious people.
Yeah, I mean, they were born up in Christian families and all that.
Well. Yeah. That's interesting. I don't know how far we're going to get with this whole God discussion.
Yeah, I think religion gives you freedom, a kind of freedom that you don't get if you're atheist. Because if you go and talk with other people who are atheist, you can at least say, "Oh, I believe in God, that's why I did it." But yeah, I mean, it's up to, like, we had a whole podcast in this topic, and we can go on and on and on. But yeah, this is our argument that we have had ever since we met. Like in terms of religion, it's like you say we need to have a faith, and I say maybe not. And that's how we become friends. See, we disagree on things and we're still friends. Exactly. That's how it works. Yeah. All right. I want to ask you one specific thing.
Go on.
So, what kind of philosophy do you have? Or philosophy or principles that you live by?
Oh man, I wish I prepared better for this. I don't have a script per se, so I'm going to have to riff a bit with this. Philosophy.
No, your personal beliefs on things, not on God or something like that, but like what kind of life you want to have. What does success mean to you? What does wealth mean to you? What does a healthy relationship mean to you? Those kind of things, and the personal philosophies.
I think it's trying. Trying is what matters. Yeah. And accepting failure, communicating well. I think communication is one of the most important things that you can have in your life, because you don't realize how ridiculous a thought is until you communicate it, and then that person who maybe you don't like tells you something you need to know. Yeah. And it's good to listen. That's what I would say. Yeah.
Which I struggle with apparently.
But don't feel too restricted by what you're expected to do. That's what I try and live by. I don't know. This is very, very personal. It's not like it's a philosophy per se. I don't think you can call it. Do you think you can call it a philosophy?
Well, it's your personal philosophy. Yeah. I would say it's a personal philosophy that you believe that trying, like for you, trying is the best version of things that you can do. And like you said earlier, you can make fun of people who didn't try, but you cannot make fun of a person who tried and failed, because they did something more than you didn't even try to do it. That's how we and that's a way of like justifying things as well. It gives you this kind of sense within you that I'm like not saying I'm better than other people, but it gives you the sense that you achieved something even if you failed. Like at least you tried.
Well,
you had the experience.
Personal philosophy is a tricky one, because you have to draw the line of where you're allowed to impose it and where you're not allowed to impose it. Because if you start imposing it unfairly, you have a warped philosophy, or what we'd consider warped. You're going to start to create a cult. And actually, this is what Zizek and Jordan Peterson argued in one of their lengthy debates. They argued this right at the end. And it was, I think it was a difference between this self-reflection. And Jordan was in favour of self-reflection, whereas Zizek was sort of not in favour of self-reflection. Well, because of that cult thing that could start up.
Yeah, because if you're really bad at reflecting on things and judging things, like then whatever decision you made, it's the ultimate decision that, like, let's say we are friends. We go out for drinks and I say no to the drinks. Yeah. But you compelled me to drinks and we had drink and I was supposed to drive the car because you didn't have license. I drove the car and like we had accident. You died and I didn't die. So if I was to self-reflect on that thing and say, well, I mean, he pushed me to drink it. It was and he knew I was driving. So I'm not here to be blamed or something. when I'm reflecting that on a really, really bad way, because I could have said, okay, no, it was my responsibility to say no. He is my friend. Of course, he will say, yeah, come and join us, like, and he might have forgotten that I was driving or something like that. Many things happen with human beings, and if we're really bad at introspect, and if we're really bad at reflecting on things, then we can't be good judges. And like you say, the cult comes from that. Like, you have the ultimate truth, and no one else has that truth. And one day, the day you believe that you have the ultimate truth, like your belief is the best belief, you become a kind of dictator and have kind of like have a cult belief behind you. But it also doesn't even have to be a
dictate. Like, I'm taking this in a bit more of an obscure way. People like Epicurus. He was a very humble man, but then Marx read his stories and decided, right, we need to make the Communist Manifesto. So it can be like a good cult in a sense, but people warp.
Well, it should be narcissistic cult.
The thing is, narcissists make stories narcissistic. That's it. That's what I think. That's what happens. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you have a good personal philosophy or not. Because other people will judge you, and unfortunately, in the world, there's like 1 to 10% of people who they live on that. They want to warp people. They want They want to take that control.
And you can see that on leaders, because it works so beautifulally with them. So if they have one strong belief on something, they can get like millions of people to follow them. And what people want, millions of people to follow them. Like everyone wants millions of people to listen to you, because you feel like as if you are the supreme being. Like, you are the elder, like you are the leader of the tribe, you are the elder of the tribe and all that. We still have that kind of that kind of brain with us.
Maybe naturalism.
Naturalism.
It's natural. It's kind of a natural human tendency to put like one or a couple of people above the big majority. It's kind of silly in a way.
Well, talking about personal belief, one of the, like, this is very wacky dream belief that I have is like, before I get married, I want to have my own house. And it's not because of like, I want to be the provider and yada yada yada. It's not even close to that. Just the fact that, like, I want to have something that I can call my own before I go into the responsibility of having family and being responsible for things that comes with having a family.
That's a good goal. I think that's a good goal.
Because like, if I can't be responsible enough to take care of something that doesn't move, take care of something that, like, that lasts for long enough, that gives me so much. It gives me shelter, it gives me a place where I can cry, where I can laugh, where I can be happy and all that. And if I'm not responsible enough to take care of that, how will I be responsible enough to take care of something that not only moves, but that moves you as well? Like, it moves me mentally and emotionally.
I think this is something that humans are getting better at, and the more successful humans are good at this. It's delaying gratification. So delaying that, it's thinking, if I don't spend this now, then in a few weeks I'll have this. Whereas some people are going to go, I have this now, I'm going to do this. I have a child now. And it's like an accident. And so many people are doing that, and then they're upset because bad things happen.
Well, if it's an accident, you got, like, see, if you have the tendency to if you're responsible enough to sleep with a woman and not take the real precaution that you need to take in order to not, make her pregnant, and the babies and all that. If you are not responsible enough for that, you're not responsible enough to do the act that you did.
Consequences. By the way, I recommend watching Jordan Key and Peele. Consequences. They do these Americans. They do this funny sketch.
Oh yes.
Consequences. It's goofy.
I like them.
Yeah.
They're really.
Have you seen their Consequences one?
No, I haven't seen that one. Silly. I've seen the slavery one. That was really. No,
the Consequences one. They have this guy that comes in, and he's like an ex-criminal.
Yeah.
And he's like giving a school like a lesson about why they shouldn't do bad things. Yeah. And he's going, I robbed this prison. I manipulated my mum, and then one day, a piano fell on my head. Consequences. It's just goofy.
Yeah, well,
it's a great TV show though.
I had never heard the behind the scene kind of things, like who is Keel, who is those people. Yeah, they are really, really talented people.
Very smart guys,
and really forward thinking and really deep thinkers as well. I see philosopher in everyone.
I think comedians
and I see
are some of the best
in them.
philosophers.
Oh yeah, George Carlin. If any one of us who is listening to us so far, if you have time, go and look up George Carlin. He's American. I would like to call him philosopher, but comedian who sadly passed away of a long time. a few years ago, and there are these as HBO specials he does, and they are available on YouTube. And like
You have to show me later.
I will.
Yeah.
It was like in early 2000s. He was talking about how people go to see these beautiful places, but they are carrying their video camera everywhere and walking. Like he does this beautifully sketch, and he says like no one is looking anymore. Like they want to capture it. They want to remember what is in the film, not what was in front of their eyes. They're not even they have filter in front of them for everything, and he talks about that, and this is so true these days, these days, and it's even more true. Like more the way more technology progress, it gets even more truer and truer. And I mean, he is a philosopher. He is a philosopher, and the British guy, what's his name, the one who created Office, Ricky Gervais, he is a philosopher. We might not agree with everything that he says, or we might agree with everything that he says, but he believes on those things, and he's really good at preaching those things as well. And like earlier when you said you don't like the kind of things that Stephen Fry and Richard Dawkins propose, all those kind of things. The one thing that I like about them is like how articulate they are.
Very articulate.
Like I wish I was that articulated.
I'm not against them. I see that they're very smart, but they're the sort of people I look at and I think maybe you're too smart.
Well, and Stephen Fry is like, you can throw anything at that guy and he will have response to the things that you want to say. Religion, science, acting, drama, reading books, writing philosophies, writing philosophies. Anyone, that guy can debate with anyone, and not debate in like a way that we see the modern debates where you're saying, oh, you are wrong, I'm right. There is like always the, either or, but with him it's not either or. There is like he tries to bring people to one common ground, where they can have a conversation and not have debate. What people call civil conversation, which is disagreeing but also not fighting. I think that's like agree to disagree. Basically. That's the that's like the foundations of politeness. You could say. And like and he's I wouldn't mind if anyone calls him the flag bearer of British politeness. Oh really? And British virtues and everything, like from his accent to the way he talks and way he deals with people. I don't know if I would consider him to be the most polite. Who would I consider to be the most polite person in this culture? Ed Sheeran. Okay. I'll tell you what, I've been watching some interviews of Ed Sheeran. Extremely polite guy. Very likeable. Easy to associate with. These sort of people. Also, I would say maybe Diana, Princess Diana. Oh, yeah. And the late Queen. I think the Queen actually held in place a lot of our belief system in politeness. And I hope that can remain without her. Yeah. Well, for me, the most polite person that I've met is you. Oh. You come across as very polite. You don't want to hurt anything, which doesn't help in every situation. I should be more assertive at times. Yeah, because sometimes you're like, don't like. I'm like, come on, man, we gotta make judgment here. Like either or, let's come. Like So you think you can be too polite? Yes. Okay. I see even myself, like especially when working in a place where I have to deal with like so many people. Like I have to smile at them all the time, right. Even though like today it was literally melting. It was 56 degrees in front of the oven that I was working in, and I was like, and there were like people in the corridor. There were people and they were doing their job, and I can't say, oh, excuse me, can you please let me do this? Is more important than what you're doing now, even though the thing that I was doing was more important at that time than anything else that can happen in that place. And I can't be that like rude to them, and I gotta be polite with them. And I would go to talk with a person, and I need some answers from them, and I need them quick because my supervisors expect it to be quick, all the answers to be collected very quickly, and it goes down, and they do things based on that answer, and then. But I have to wait 5 minutes for that person to answer me because that person is not in right state to answer, and then I can't be like, okay, you need to tell me now because I need to do this. I can't tell them that. Yeah, I can't tell them. I don't want to tell them that because they are not in good place at that time. Right. Like the place where I work is not the place where people go when they're happy. Well, it's a hospital. It's a hospital, yes. Yeah. It's not a place where people go like when they feel good. So I don't want to come across to them as like being someone who's like ruthless to them. But then like, again, well,
I suppose the doctors can't be polite, can they?
Well, yeah,
At
I mean,
times,
sometimes they have to give such I would never do that. I could never do that.
My friend's going to be
I
a
could
doctor.
never do
He's
that.
going to be working just across the street at the Winchester Hospital.
Oh, yeah,
He's
bless
been
him.
training for 5 years.
Okay.
A very smart guy, actually.
Yeah, he will still be training for 5 more years before he becomes proper doctor. That's the reality.
He said he's finished his degree and he's done his cap and gown.
Okay.
But he says he's got to do like a few months of training.
Yeah.
So he's saying, I did all those years, and what I've got to show is that I'm currently cleaning up sick.
Yeah, I mean, working in hospital it can be one of the most rewarding, at the same time one of the most saddest thing that you see. And so basically this statement that like helping too much others or being too polite can be narcissistic comes from one thing that one patient told me. So basically what happened was, like, I was taking this trolley to the place where he was, and he didn't even touch anyone, and he was just trying to get up, but I didn't see, and I just went, but he was just getting up from his bed. He was not even coming to the corridor.
Well, you bumped into him?
No, I didn't bump into anything. I just saw him looking at me, and I said, I'm sorry. And he was like, what are you sorry for? You did nothing.
Yeah.
And then so whole day I was working in that ward, and in the evening he was like, he calls me, and I was like, okay, what does he want now? And I had like a really long day, and I went to him. He's like, you were saying sorry to so many people, saying this and that to so many people. You need to stop doing that. You need to have some self-esteem. And at the time I was like, well, I'm not doing this because I lack self-respect, or maybe I am, or I think. And he said, you might be doing this because you want people to see you as someone who is very nice, which is a nice quality, don't get me wrong. But sometimes you will do this in places and in scenarios where you should have been more assertive. You should have been like, you should also know how to say no, because people will take advantage of you.
Yeah.
And you will say yes to everything just because you want to please them. And that will come across. And that is because you're a bit narcissistic, because you believe that you want to be looked at like a good person.
What's it called? Internalizing.
Yeah.
So you're not expressing, you're not like, you're perceiving the world, but it's everything. It comes back into your brain and it's sort of processed before it comes back.
Yeah.
Whereas people who are being less narcissistic, I think they're actually they're sort of actually engaging with the external.
Yeah.
External.
They give the right response that was like, required at that time, rather than giving the response that is acceptable by everyone.
Right.
Because there are things that will not be acceptable by everyone. The things that we say, the things that we believe in. But then, we also need to be assertive enough to, say like what we believe in. Like in the Agora society, there were very few people who said what they actually believed in. Everyone was agreeing with things that was being told, like not by the person who was supposed to do it, but by the people who kind of.
I suppose people who are being polite, they can also turn into sheep in some regards.
Yeah,
they're not like,
they follow the crowd.
They're not going, no, I don't think that.
Yeah. So I think you can be too polite. I think you can be too, so no one wants, all of us, we want people to love us. We don't want people to hate us. We don't want people to think that we are not who we are. We want them to think who we actually think we are, rather than what they perceive that we are. Yeah. So it's like, you might talk with a girl, and you might ask her for Instagram. You might follow her, and she doesn't accept the request, and you're feeling like, oh my god, like why is she not accepting the request? Oh yeah, because she might not have liked me. It's like, she just gave me her Instagram just because she didn't want it to feel bad or something. Yeah. Well, just the truth can be like, one of the truth is like, yes, she might not have liked you, but she just gave it. Just as a courtesy to you, but it doesn't mean you're necessarily a bad person unless you did something bad to her. But
then again, if someone doesn't like you, maybe it's just one of those, like with the friendship things that doesn't work.
Yeah, exactly.
It's natural.
Yeah, if everyone that you met in your life liked you, imagine the life
that would be glorious.
Well, I think it would be really difficult.
It would be, because you have to stay humble.
And they will be expecting so many things from you. Like, one person will expect you to be the best friend, one other person will expect you to be the best lover, and you will have another person who will also expect you to be the best lover. You will end up having 3 different relationships. They will find out, and it doesn't work.
This is why mutual respect is important. And I think these are codes. And these codes used to be quite deep in this culture, so they were called chivalry.
Oh yes.
And one of the examples of that was bowing. So you would present your head in front of someone because they could chop it off, basically. Yeah. And also, I think the Romans or the Egyptians would do this. It's like, I got nothing, I'm not doing anything bad, and it still exists in this world. exists in Japan, and
it exists in our country. When you do namaste, you bow down.
Namaste,
Yeah, you bow
but,
down.
Also the codes of Bushido
Yeah.
in Japan, they still have
yes.
the bowing culture, and I think that's magnificent.
Or you could have bow in I've seen those videos in wedding where whoever bows down the lowest is
Yeah, that's
apparently
funny.
gets the more
Yeah.
respect or something.
Yeah,
Are you gonna do that?
Yeah, no.
Well, you're not gonna do it.
There is the issue of being too polite. And
Come
yeah.
on. No, you love
I
Japan.
would do it as something fun and from a loving place.
Yeah.
But I would never like be one of those groveling, bowing people.
I think you should do it for her, not for anyone else that is in that venue.
Right. You mean for my girlfriend?
Yes.
Yeah.
You should do it for her, not for anyone. Not for anyone that is in the venue, because she is the one who matters. No one else matters. Your life would be different if she was not there, but your life would not be that different if other people were not there.
It's the mutual thing. I wouldn't expect her to bow.
Yeah,
back
I'm not
that
saying
deeply.
bowing or anything. I'm just saying everything that you do, you do because of like her. Like you're not doing it because you want. You might do it because you want as well, but you want to do it for her because she's the most important person at that time, at that moment.
Yeah.
And she will be the most important person in your life. So yeah.
Yeah.
So Japan.
Yeah.
Ah.
Very polite people. I don't think you'll find any people more polite in a community, genuinely. And for everything that people can say that's bad about it, and there's bad stuff that exists in every community, the people are incredibly aware of nuances and behavioural differences. So if someone's not feeling well, they will check on them. It is in some way inclusive, or exclusive, but at the same time, it's. I think they try to work for respect.
Yeah.
And I think the whole world would run better if everyone was working for respect.
Yeah.
Basically.
Well, one of the things that surprised me when I came here was like when I went to the job and things, and people are like, oh, if your colleague is feeling bad, make them feel comfortable, but don't ask them why they're feeling bad, because it's really personal. You should not ask for personal stuff.
Yeah.
And that conflicts with everything that I experienced in my life for like 17, 18 years, because we're supposed to take care of them. Even if I don't know them that deeply, I'm supposed to. I should be responsible, to make sure that person is not feeling bad, and that person is not going to do something bad. End their life or something like that. And I'm supposed to be there, give them time, help them.
It's stepping on eggshells though, because you don't want to open that wound. For example. Where I'm working over the summer is in my local pub, and we have a Ukrainian refugee woman, and she does the dishes. She's absolutely lovely. But I would never ask her how's your family or how are you today? Maybe it's a cultural difference, but at the same time, she can sort of process those problems without having to address them every day. Because we'll show her a smile, we'll make her a coffee. We'll say, oh, thank you for this, thank you for that, but we're not going to talk about Russians, we're not going to talk about guns and stuff like that.
Well, I think I'm completely opposite on this. Just today, we had one colleague who is from Bangladesh, and I asked him, how's your family? Are they okay? How are riots and those violence, are they affecting? And he was like, oh, no, they're not. They're fine and all that. Maybe it was like a mutual friendship.
Maybe you can do that from being from a similar region of the world. I don't know.
Okay, all right.
I don't know.
So it works with people. Maybe because you don't have that kind of experience, or in your culture you don't get that kind of experience where people come to you and they're that personal, or that in that way they ask you things here. Because I think that is a bit more individualistic. That comes from being more individualistic as well. Yeah, because you want to preserve your. It's not preserving your individuality. It's it's really hard to trust other people because you don't know what they bring. And when you share some information with them, they might take it in a wrong way. They might misuse the information. But where we come from, we kind of have this belief that they will never ever misuse the information and mistrust us, even though they do it. There are people who will do it. You will tell your deepest personal thing that is happening with you, and there will be a rumor after a few days in the place that you work. So I do agree with it. But I think there is a middle ground. I think we gotta be civil to people. We gotta be nice to people as well. Not to the point that you become narcissistic. You don't want to be nice to people so that they will think nice of you. You want to be nice to people just because they are human beings. Treat them the way you would want to be treated. when I see like 80, 90-year-olds patients in the hospital and they're helpless, they can't do anything, and sometimes they will be angry at you, like, you know, they're because they're not in good mood. And I would like to think that I'm doing the things that I expect when I'm that old, that someone who is in my position would do to me.
Yeah.
But it's really difficult. It's really, really difficult, and yeah, most of the times I can't even do it. Like, I don't know how to react to certain things. But then, yeah, and yes, so that I would try my best is what I would say. But we never know. We never know. It doesn't work. Yeah, like especially when you think this, like, oh, if I become too polite, I might be narcissistic. When you dwell into that thought, then I don't think it helps. It is helpful, but I think it is important to understand. Yeah, like sometimes you gotta be assertive.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
That ties into leadership, actually.
Yeah.
There's a lot of so I was going to say there's a lot of like expectation for people to be assertive, but then they make the wrong choices. Like, they make something because of their pride, you know, for example. Yeah,
I mean, many things are done because people think that other people will perceive them as someone good. Yeah, so it's like
I suppose if you are good, you would just do the good things without saying about it.
Yeah. Right. It's like saying the moral and religion. It's like if you are a moral person, you don't need religion to be moral. Yeah, you can be moral either way.
The words religious wars really shouldn't exist, you know.
Well, I mean, people do fight wars on the basis of religion.
Yeah, but they're like a oxymoron. Like, they're a contradiction. The fact that those words exist together is kind of stupid.
Yeah, religion was supposed to be bringing people together.
Like in the Middle East, for example, that's quite tragic. And I don't want to touch too far into this, but you know what's happening in Israel. Who are we as post-Christian country, part of the Abrahamic religion, to judge Jewish or judge Islamic people? I think we need someone outside of the problem, maybe.
We can't judge the people, but we can judge the situation.
But who are we to judge the situation as someone who shares this holy land? Like, why are so many religions claiming this holy land? You know, it's so interesting, right?
I don't understand where you're coming from on this one.
I'm sort of tying.
I don't want you to be controversial.
Tying this back to religion, but also into leadership.
Okay.
And
it's like, would you say the decision taken by Benjamin Netanyahu was the right decision?
No, I wouldn't. Okay,
so but I wanted to make that clear because it sounded something like that. But
what I'm getting at is that Christian countries like America really shouldn't have a place to speak on Jerusalem, I think, for example.
Yeah, they should not meddle in the places that don't belong.
If that's their holy land, then they should treat it with all the grace that their religion tells them to have, you know?
Yeah, but I think it's more to do with geopolitics than to do with the religions that comes from the country.
That's
and so every country wants to assert that they are the big dog.
Also, they are the good guys.
Yeah, they are the good guys as well. Like, they might as well go and invade a country in the false pretenses, but they are the good guys. You know, and because they are good guys, everyone will be like, I mean, they made a mistake. Few bad apples, you know. Bad apples fell down from the trees and killed millions of people. By apples, I mean bombs.
But then, do you know what? Something that I think the human psychology misses? It's that we don't see the bad apples in the other. For example, if like an immigrant, someone that is not from the same culture as mine, did something bad in this country, it would be easy for people to say, "Oh, those people are like that."
Yes. Yeah.
You know, we don't have that bad apples perspective of outsiders.
Well, we no longer judge people based on their character. We judge people based on their religion, based on their race, and the world is going more and more back to that thing. It's like, you know, that Southport incident that happened, and like the immediately thing was, oh, he was a Muslim.
Right.
It was not that he was a 17-year-old who was born in this country.
Right.
And there might have been things that were missing in his life. There might have been, like, he might have, I'm not justifying the actions done by anyone. I'm just saying that we're judging him and his whole community. We got to judge him. But we're judging his whole community.
I suppose it's easier because then the responsibility doesn't fall on yourself.
Yeah, and you know, we're not making him a villain. We're making his whole community a villain.
Yeah.
And then he doesn't become a villain anymore, whereas he is the villain, not his community.
Also, what happens to those communities that feel that they're being villainized? You know?
Yeah, and now and it never stops. You know? Now they become the villainized, and then they start throwing rocks, and they're like, oh, how dare they throw rocks at us? We were the people who were here, and now you throw the rocks at them, and then rocks changes into guns, and then into the bombs, and then people die.
So how do we solve the whole identity
we gotta,
obsession that
well, like, you
humans
know
have.
how Martin Luther King said, judge people by their character,
Yeah,
not by what comes,
Yeah.
attached to the
Yeah.
people, not by the name that is attached, not by your surname. I can't judge you based on the Christian surname, the Jewish surname, the Muslim surname, the Hindu surname, or just the normal surname from another country. I don't want to judge you by
This is
that.
a good question. If we follow the Martin Luther King's ideas, the question I got for you is, what is a good character?
If I do you want me to quote a religion, I can give you really like prime example of the best character person.
Go on, give me
So
a good character.
in Baha'i religion, there is the son of manifestation, Abdul Baha. The manifestation's name, his name is Baha'u'llah, and his son is Abdul Baha, and he is considered as the best Baha'i, best character Baha'i. He was very generous. He was very like polite, generous. He respected everyone regardless of where they came from. He accepted anyone regardless of what they believed in. He never tried to impose his beliefs on other people. He never tried to say that he was the correct person. He never tried to say that he comes from miracle. He never tried to say that he can do miracles or something like that. He was a normal human being who lived as how we human beings are supposed to live. It's like, like I have my beliefs, you have your beliefs. This is what we share, and this is what we should share with each other as well. And this world will be better if we are good to each other rather than we start fighting with each other.
I wonder what sort of childhood he had.
Well, he was the son of God. For people who believe in.
So he's a legend then.
No, it's real. You can find his photos and everything, find account of his things as well. I'm not saying he's the prime human being ever. I don't want to say that because other people will feel bad about it.
He's what you would consider a good judge of character.
Well, if you want me to give the example of like someone that people consider as a good judge of like good characters, like a person with best characters in a specific group of people, then I would give him, because, or you can give God Krishna, like everything comes to God, like a manifestation, not God necessarily, but the manifestation. I think we human beings, we have flaws. and gods, we don't tend to see flaws in them, but gods have flaws as well. We don't point it out because we want to paint them as someone who is bigger than us. The natural hierarchy. They're up there, and we're down here, and they're looking down upon us. They don't look at us; they look down upon us. So we gotta be like more civil to them. We gotta bow down to them. So there are different things, but for me, the best character person is like the person who embraces their flaws and like tries to be the best they can be, but not necessarily try to hurt other people.
I think people who help themselves, that's like in positive sense. Like instead of going, God help me, they're actually looking and they're going, you help me.
Yes, we gotta be more in tune with ourselves, and it comes with all the problems that men, women, we all have, like mental health and all those things. It's really difficult these days to do something without having this tendency that people will judge me. And
I think it's difficult to help yourself because we're constantly told that we need this like self-esteem, for example, and I think that's a confusing thing. And I think mental health, because it's psychology, of course it's going to be confusing, and it happens unfortunately a lot to teenagers who are already confused. So I fear that we're over confusing. That's what I think in this country. I fear that we're over confusing children. And I think we need to make it a lot more simple. And starting with communication. That's my big advocate, communication.
Communication solves lots of problems in this world. But I agree with that. Like young people, we don't get hurt anyway. Like when we're in a family, having not even debate, having a normal conversation, just because you're young, people don't listen to you. It's not only in my culture, it's everywhere. It's in this part of the world, it's in every part of the world. In this part of the world, you might get more chance to speak than where I come from, because in our culture, what it says, the older are speaking, why are you speaking now? Let them speak first. But here, it'd be like, what the fuck? It's like, why can't I speak kind of thing? But but still here as well, just because you're young, people will think that you don't have anything that you can contribute to a conversation. And not even that, like, when you're making an argument, when you're making a point, you might not have enough knowledge to make a point. But they will demonize you for having that kind of belief, rather than saying, you need to learn this and then you can say this. Without learning this, don't say this.
Small-minded older people, that's what it is. It's misers, and I think misers can often run a country, and they oppress the young people who have bright ideas.
They're everywhere.
Yeah,
they're everywhere. It's like honestly, like it's not just because you talk a lot and they should listen to you just because you talk a lot. It's not that. Just the thing is like, if you, it's like, they expect us to be someone and they don't let us be that person. Like leaders, they expect us to be leaders, but they don't let us be leaders. They don't teach us to be leaders. And like in the same way, they expect us to be someone who can intellectually argue with other people, not argue and talk and intellectually contribute to a conversation or contribute to a plan or something like that, but they don't let us do it. When there is a plan to be made in a family, it's the mom and dad, or even like grandparents who make the decision. Not the kids are not even involved. And in behavioralism, there is one thing that they say, which I really really like. It's like when they give example of moving house from one place to another place. The most important person in a family, if you have a child, the most important person that you need to ask, like, is it good to move to other person, is the kid, because his life or her life will be completely changed than yours, because you already have friends. You're already at the point in life where you might not be making any more friends. You already have a career, you already have jobs and everything that you do. That kid is just starting.
Actually, this segues to something really interesting I saw recently. Recently I watched Barack Obama's speech in Kenya. He did this maybe in 2010, so in like his first presidency. His granddad fought for the British. He's born and raised in Kenya. Actually, he was part of the like Navy kitchen, basically. Proud Kenyan. His dad moved from Kenya to Hawaii. So Obama went to Kenya to see what he considers his people, and they are his people. And he was addressing them because they've got lots of problems, and they look to him as like, wow, this American who's Kenyan. They've got so much respect for him, and he has so much respect for them. And it was like, gave me goosebumps, because honestly, I recommend anybody watching this Obama speech for the Kenyan people. And it touches any human. You don't have to be just African. You don't have to be from East Africa. You can be from anywhere in the world. The stuff he says is so moving. One of the points he made was, stop thinking of the world as something you've inherited from your ancestors. Think of it as a world that you're borrowing from your grandchildren.
Amazing. Yeah, because we're borrowing the stuff that they're supposed to have.
Exactly. And this is why I'm also looking out for my granddad's self in the future. So I'm not just caring for my family. I care about the image of myself as an old man, because what am I going to give to the world, at that point? I don't want to be a miser. I don't want to be one of those grumpy guys that goes, no, you don't know what you're talking about. You're young. I don't want to do that.
Definitely not. Definitely not. Well, we talked about mental health.
Yeah.
Now we're going to talk about, you're going to ask me something you said.
Oh, so this is you, Ujjwal, in 10 years' time.
Okay.
You have a wonderful wife.
Okay.
You have 2 beautiful daughters.
Okay.
And life could not be any better.
I'm already smiling.
Right. What sort of man will you be, and how will you start your day?
I hope I will not have to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning.
They might wake you up.
Oh yes, I see my parents already.
What sort of man will you be?
Well, I haven't had the best influence from the people who are older than me when I grew up. And there are certain things that I learned from them. The things that I don't want to do. Like the things that I should not do. The things that I don't want to be. And I used to tell this to my friends, as like, the person that I was really close with a few years ago. I used to tell her that if one day, if I ever, I gave her one incident, like this is what happened. And if I told her, if I ever do that, it's not a big incident as well. It's not an incident that you... that ruins your relationship or something like that. I said, if I ever do that, leave me. Because if I'm capable of doing that, I'm capable of doing something more. So I don't want to disrespect, if I'm married, if I have kids, and like I have this beautiful family, I don't want to disrespect any of them. Because respect is one of the most important thing. And where I come from, young people, they don't get respect from the older people, and I don't want to be like that. I want to respect.
Right.
I want to give them as much credibility as they are, human beings. I want to treat them like human beings, not like kids and all that.
So it's very unique. So you're doing this in a very unique way.
Well, yeah, I don't want to make it like experimental for them. Like I don't want them to be like living in this utopian place where everything is nice. I can't promise that. They might get the shittest life. Like shittest parents they could ever had. I could be that. But what I'm saying is I would try my best to not be people that I've seen around me.
Yeah.
or the people that have been to me.
Do you know what? This is reminding me, when you were talking about that God character earlier, those sort of people who exist in the world probably had close first-hand experience of people who were very narcissistic.
Yeah.
So then they realised, I can't get anywhere doing that because
Yeah.
I know this guy close to me. I love him, but he didn't get anywhere doing that as well.
Exactly.
So I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
So in a way, it's sort of the law of nature. Like we balance each other out. You know, a bit of good comes with a bit of bad.
Yeah.
know?
It's like, I think the kids who have parents like mom and dad, like where they don't share anything, they don't talk anything, they end up being like that, which is not necessarily a good thing. Or they will be completely opposite of that. And which also ruins the thing as well, because you can't be too open with everybody, the people that you don't trust especially. But you want to find a middle ground, and you know, it's so important to have someone who has good influence on you, because when you're younger, when you have bad influence, when you see bad things and you kind of believe that those things are the real truth, like, you know, that's how relationship works. Like look, I was the only kid, and like I didn't meet any other young person like me, like who was same age as me, who had divorced parents until I was in grade 12.
Wow.
So my parents, they got divorced when I was in grade 4, which is year 4 basically. Like that's like I'm 7 years old or something, 7 years old. Yeah.
7, 8,
and then I met another person who also had divorced parent at 18-year-old.
Wow.
And that person's parents were divorced like 2 years before I met that person. And so basically I was like, I couldn't relate with anyone. It was really difficult. It's like saying, everyone was like, you know, when we used to have results and we have these final results in our school, and everyone brings their family to check the results, and my mom would be working all the time to provide for me and provide for her and basically for my education and everything. So she would not be able to come to this school. She would not even have enough time sometimes to phone into this school and all that. So I would come to my school saying, okay, can you please show my results? And they would be like, no, you need a parent. I'm like, come on, like, you know, I have never lived in a traditional family. I don't even know, like, you know. And so sometimes I would ask one of my friends' parents to go and grab it for me. But when that didn't happen, I would be like just there, not getting my results for like months.
Wow.
So like next time my mom, she goes to pay my fees to the college, they were like, yeah, here is your results. And if the result was really bad, I'd be petrified, because my mom would be like, why did you get bad results? Right. But then, living in that kind of situation, I learned very early that I need to be independent. Like my mom taught me how to be independent when I was really, really young. So by independent, what I mean is like not be able to earn money by yourself or something like that, because it was not possible at that time. But like, you know, if I want to buy a book, she would give me money and say, okay, go to the shop and buy the book. I'll let you know where the shop is. And in some cases later on, it happened like she didn't even know where the bookstore was, and I had to figure it out. Or like buying a gas cylinder for our house so that we can cook something, and buying vegetables, buying groceries and everything. She was like, you do it. Because like, you know, she told me this very important thing. She said once, when you know how much money you have spent on certain things, you will know how much, like the worth of that thing. It's like, unless you know a book cost you 1,000 Nepali rupees, which is a lot of money, like still now, and it was a lot of money back when I was young. Like 1,000 rupees when you spend on a book, you will know, like, you know, like you got to do something from that book. You got to read it or do something from that book, because otherwise it's a lot of money that it was spent, a lot of money that was wasted. And so it kind of made me like kind of respect those things, and it made me respect my mom as well. And at the time, I was teenager, a kind of rebellious teenager, saying, why are you making me do this? Why are you making me do that? But like when I had to live alone at grade 11 and 12, I was like, thank God my mom did that. Otherwise I would not be able to live alone by myself. I was living in our country, they always live like, you know, you kid with your relative, or you all live them in a boarding school or something like that. But I was living by myself. Yeah. Like grade 11, I was living on my own apartment, cooking by my own food, like, you know, making time to study and all that. Like, you know, not dwell with, like, you know, not go, like, you know, bunk the schools and go with my girlfriend to other places or something like that. Yeah, not do that, but rather than focus on things that are important.
So it's like, I think we both have this. It's what your parents leave in you, not what they leave for you. For you, basically. Yeah. And that's a very powerful tool. And a lot of celebrities are doing that now as well. I think Bill Gates, for example, I think maybe Steve Harvey. There's a few celebrities who are doing that. They're realizing that children aren't going to learn good values by having everything that they want. You know. Well, I mean, and I think that's how we can. You know, when we take our own paths, that's what we'll have to do for our children. You know. Well,
I envy those who have things given to them. Yeah. Because it makes life so easy. But I feel sad for them as well at the same time. Yeah. Because it's like, oh, you didn't get to experience one of the most Well, I mean, I don't think it's a good experience, to be honest. I don't think I'll feel sad for them now. Now I changed my mind.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what? When someone someone who is born in rich family, they get all the things. As long as they don't become narcissist, as long as they don't become this bitter person, good for them.
Yeah.
They got it. Like, I didn't get it. They got it. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, why do I have to be bad towards them? Why do I have to say them? Oh, you just got it because it was given to you by someone. It was given to them by someone.
Yeah.
It could have been me.
Yeah, exactly.
I was not born in that place.
I mean, if you have that attitude, you're just a grumpy person.
Yeah. It's like, you're saying, okay, like, it's like me, like, being born in one of the country with one of the weakest passport in the world, saying to you, it's like, you can go to Japan, like, oh my god, like, you don't even know how hard it is to apply visa. It's like me saying, bro, you're born here. Use your visa, go to as many countries as you can. Exactly. I can't do that, but you can.
I mean, you can grow a beard, I can't grow a beard. I think you can beat yourself up about what you don't have, and that leads to jealousy, and I think that's like the opposite virtue of gratitude, which is, do it, try your best, do it yourself, make it, like, literally make it. Yeah,
do it. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
Mm.
Yeah, so but when you said, coming back to the question, the kind of man I want to be, the man who tries. I want to be the man who tries.
I thought you said cries.
Well, I mean, cries, sometimes, why not? Like, see, I was, anime series that made me cry was Naruto. That last season was bloody difficult to watch.
Yeah, I've cried at some like really cheesy Korean dramas. Yeah.
Well, I mean, when they have like this when you can kind of find similarities between you and the character, you then be the character when you're watching in that thing.
That's part of fantasy.
Yeah, and then when the character feels bad, then you feel bad.
Yeah. It's escapism.
Anyone who is out there says Naruto is not the best anime, think again. You might not be watching other animes just because of Naruto. That's how we got it started.
Hey, there's a guy that really likes Japan right here. He's never watched any anime.
Oh yeah, Jerome. Oh
no, me. I've never.
Oh yeah, you
I've
as
never watched
Jerome
anime.
is the opposite of it.
Oh, he's watched lots of anime.
Yeah, you've never.
I've never seen any. I've seen Studio Ghibli.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, but I've never seen Naruto or One Piece.
Well, I mean, I haven't watched One Piece. I've watched some of it, but not all of it.
I probably should.
I mean, it depends. Like, if you're interested, if you're in it, you're in it. If you're not in it, you're not in it. I watched it because I used to watch when I was a kid. So I felt this nostalgia that, I want to finish this thing without realizing how many episodes and seasons are there.
Yeah, that throws me off.
Like with One Piece, there are like more than 1,000 episodes. I'm like, oh my days. Like, when I'm going to finish it. So yeah. Some man who tries. So what kind of man you want to be?
Can you give me a scenario?
Well, I mean, you have a beautiful wife.
Oh, same thing.
Yeah.
Same scenario.
Yeah. Maybe you have 3 kids, not 2 kids.
3 kids.
Yeah. No, they're triplets.
Wow.
Yeah.
Triplets.
Yeah. So they're all born at the same time. Well, I mean, if you get them, in it.
It'd be like that game where you have to spin the plates.
Yeah.
You have this stick and the plate, and you have to turn them and keep that one up. Then you go over there and you keep this one up, it falls. It's like that, but with crying.
Yeah.
They're going to be crying.
Imagine 3 people crying at the same time.
Put this one down, this baby cries. You have to settle that one. He starts again. So, I really want to be a dad. That's that's one of my big goals. And it makes me quite different to most guys and maybe most people my age. Yeah. I've always done things my own way. And I've never liked giving into social pressure. So people go, why don't you have a car? It's like, why do I need a car? Like, why? Maybe it works for you. Maybe it doesn't work for me right now. Maybe it will work for me in the future. But I'm happy doing it my way. Yeah. And one thing I want to do is be a parent. And I don't know. I think that gives your life value. And also, that's one of the big things that we need to do as humans. Raising children is like literally a big part of life. It should be one of the biggest parts.
I want to ask you one question. You might hate that I asked you this question.
Go on.
What if you can't have a kid? What would you do? Would you think of your life having no value at that time?
I don't think so. I mean, I don't have a kid, so it's not like I've had an abortion or something like that. But it's not like I'm missing out. But I just think I don't see how they could take away from your life. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So in that way, when we get our friends saying, "Oh, I never want to have a kid because like I don't want to spend my career with them. I want to build something of my own." I see that. I kind of agree with that as well because I don't know. It sounds fascinating to have a kid.
Yeah.
Just imagine, like a kid
Like it's a
who,
mini you.
yeah, like who kind of looks like you, but kind of doesn't look like you. Has half of your characters, or even in most cases, all of your characters, and
Yeah.
even more characters, and that's
And you instinctively care about them a lot more than yourself.
yes,
I find that fascinating. Like, once I have a kid, I'll realise that aspect, because I think it's so fascinating that people can have such like a instinctual bond to their
Yes.
child, you know?
like you look at them, and you're like, yeah, I mean that's my world
Yeah.
right there.
Why not experience that? I
Yeah.
think the sort of man I'd want to be is someone that takes on the most experiences and challenges himself every day,
Yeah.
basically.
Well, it might go into wrong way as well, because you might want to experience how to be a cheater, how to be.
Yeah, maybe not the most experiences. Not the most experiences. I want to say the most valuable experiences according to my personal philosophy.
Yeah, I'm just pulling a leg
Yeah.
over there. No,
But it's a good point.
Yeah, I think I think that's a good man to aspire to be. Because I don't know who it would be like, but we will have evidence of this video.
Yeah.
We'll come back and look at it.
And
our
our
kid
family can laugh at it with us or
Yeah.
something.
And our kid might look at it and say, you said you wanted to be that, and now you're this grumpy old man who doesn't want me to go to picnic with my friends because he thinks my friends are going to kill me. Yeah, well, I think things will change on us. I think the beliefs, like especially the kind of beliefs we have about family, will change when we have a family, when we have our own family.
Yeah.
And I think it might not be as nice as we expect. It might not be as beautiful as we expect, but I think it will be something better. It might be ugly.
Put this
Yeah.
one back. I'm joking.
No, but see, I have very young brother and sister. The age gap between them and me is more than the age gap between me and my mum. So with them, I feel like in a few years I'm gonna be in similar situation. Like they're like 4-year-old now, and I see them growing. Like every time my sister learns a new word, it makes me happy. She is the most kindest and the most rudest person at the same time. Like she's the only person who can talk back to me, back to mum, and I was like, "Go girl." But it's like, yeah, I'm not saying it's because like she doesn't respect or love or anything. Like she's so carefree, and I was carefree, man. Like when we were a kid, we didn't have to worry about future. We didn't have to worry about what kind of person we want to be. We didn't have to worry about if we were gonna meet anyone or not. We were just living our life. Like, there was so much shit happening, so many bad things happening. I didn't even realize those things were bad unless I grew up.
You know what this reminds me of is that old people, they're good at like in what's the word, embodying their youth and their childness.
Yeah.
I think that's like the perfect way that humans are supposed to return back to their childhood, basically when they're old. Like working at the pub, there was this woman who brought her fish and chips out to her table, and she was like really excited like a little kid, and I thought that's just so wholesome, and that's what people should be like. They should have that experience, but they should return to their childlikeness, but not in the rude shouty bit, but in the curiosity, I would say.
Yeah, exactly. Why not live a little? Live a little. All right, so on that note, I think we're going to end today's podcast, but before that, we're going to share our 0 hour thought. This conversation has been very candid, and I think we prefer this kind of conversation over a conversation which is scripted and all that.
It's good to do now and then, I would say.
Yes.
It's good to do now.
Yeah.
It
it makes us more friendly as well. It brings us closer as a friends as well, which is another nice thing. Okay, so before we do that, would you like to read your 0 hour thoughts?
Yeah, of course. I thought of this as I came back from the toilet about 2 hours ago. As you know, as it happens.
Eureka moment.
Yeah, a eureka moment.
Yeah.
Here we go. This was my basic idea. It was those who have freedom from judgment are willing to be judged. People tell nervous speakers to imagine the audience naked, but I think they've got that completely in reverse. I think we should imagine ourselves naked and accept how we are to the world for all of our flaws. And I think this is important to tell people because they may judge us personally for making our choices. We've made a choice to make this channel, put it out there to people, and that's our choice. And there may be little voices out there, I don't know, I've not explored enough, saying don't do this, it's silly, as a teenager, I did hear things like that. People say, laughing, pointing at on the playground, he's silly. But those people are held by that. We should feel sorry for those people because they're never going to break out of that. So I want to say, people, please try.
Yeah,
try,
do your best.
Just try. You know?
Well, if I tried, or if many people tried seeing audiences naked, I think they would get more horny rather than say their piece. Well, yeah, why not? And people are going to judge us regardless. Yeah. And we're going to judge them regardless. So I think we need to accept and embrace this this thought that they will judge me anyway. Like, I want to do my best, but they will judge me anyway. Like, I don't really kind of care.
To quote Taylor Swift, haters gonna hate.
All right. Okay, we even have that. No worries. All right. Okay. My zero-hour thought. Sadly, I don't have title for this today, but it's based on judgment as well. People will always judge you regardless of things you do. They will always put you in hierarchy regardless of things you have achieved. There will always be someone who is better than you in every possible metric in their eyes. But you got to be yourself. Be the one that you have always dreamt of being, even if there is no one giving you support when you need. You will be alone. You will be lonely. And if you're lucky, you will be able to find someone who will love you with everything they have. But even if you end up being alone, don't forget that you are doing this for yourself, for your legacy. It's you who matters, not the persona that other people think who you are. So be yourself.
Wise words.
Yeah.
When you were saying that, I can imagine you sitting on like a hill somewhere wearing a kimono with like Buddhist beads around.
Oh yes, Japan. I want to go to Japan.
Like this. You're just saying that, sat on like a mat.
I love Japan.
Very zen.
Yeah. When you go to Japan this time, please bring me kimono.
I think they're not actually that expensive.
No. I want it from Japan. I don't want it from Amazon.
No, I can. But I was going to say I think they're expensive. But then I've seen lots of thrift shops and they're actually cheap.
In UK?
Yeah, like £4. No, in Tokyo.
Okay, please get me on
£4 or £5, basically. I mean, I hope I can get you a man's one.
Oh, what do you mean?
Well, because they have lots of women's ones.
Oh yeah, of course.
They have thousands more women's kimonos than they have men's.
All right.
I can look.
Well, I'm expecting a kimono in September or
I'll
October,
get myself
November.
One too, actually.
Yeah. And on that note, we'd like to end today's podcast. I hope this has been interesting to you guys. It was really fun making this one.
It was unique.
It was unique. And it was also like one of our first podcasts, which was very candid and all that. We will keep on doing these things and keep on coming back to the same topics again and again. Because we will have our... it will be basically like, our mind will get another software update and we'll have different set of, not different set, but like more refined set of beliefs and more refined set of ideas that we have in our head. And thank you for this. We'll see you on next one. And please subscribe to our channel and give us a like if you liked it. And leave your valuable feedbacks in the comment section.
And donate money to us.
Yeah, we don't have any means to get any money. But I'm not expecting any money. Anyway, all right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll see you on the next one.